Water is arguably the most important factor in determining where societies are built. If it wasn't for the Humber River and the indigenous trade routes that followed its path, Toronto may not exist today, or at least as we know it. And it's here, in this small and quaint neighborhood, that some of the oldest settlements were built. For thousands of years, people have moved goods north and south through this part of Toronto. In this video, I'm going to retrace some of those early footprints, and I'll explore the neighborhood as it is today, including some beautiful residential streets, the main thoroughfares, and a great little diner for lunch. Welcome to Lambton Baby Point. Hey, I'm Mark, and I make videos about places and experiences here in Canada. I can't cover everything, so if there is info you think people should know about, please leave a comment below. I'm no expert, simply curious about the places I visit. I took the subway to the Old Mill subway station, which is located just outside the neighborhood, but it's the closest stop to where I want to begin this video. The station is named after the Old Mill, which is Toronto's oldest restaurant, which has been in continuous operation at the same location since 1914. Originally established as a restaurant and tea garden, today it's also an event center and hotel. In 1793, almost 200 years after Étienne Brûlé first explored the area, the first mill was built on the site. It was commissioned by the first Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada, John Graves Simcoe. It was built to provide construction materials for ships and government buildings. It was Toronto's first industrial building and marked the beginning of industrial activity in the area. Almost 100 years later, the mill burned down, and the old mill was built in its place by the new landowner, Robert Holmes Smythe. He imposed architectural restrictions on the land to ensure the English Tudor style remained in the neighborhood. This is still visible today, which we'll see later in the video. The old mill opened for business on August 4th, 1914, the same day Canada entered World War I. From the Old Mill, I crossed the Humber River into the Baby Point neighborhood. To get there, I'm crossing the Old Mill Bridge. Built in 1916, this bridge is designated as a heritage property. At the time of its construction, concrete was not traditionally used, but thanks to this unusual method, the bridge still stands today. You'll find two coats of arms on the bridge, representing York and Etobicoke, the two communities the bridge connects. Here on the east side of the Humber River, you'll find the Old Mill Park and Tennis Club. Heading north, you'll find Étienne Brûlé Park. Brûlé was most likely the first white dude to explore beyond the St. Lawrence River. It's believed he was the first European to see Lake Ontario, Niagara Falls, Lake Huron, and Superior. It's also likely he traveled down the Humber River to Lake Ontario, as depicted in this sketch. In the intro, I mentioned that Toronto may not be what it is today, or exist at all for that matter, if it wasn't for the Humber River system. Settlement happened here because the lakes and rivers were the original highways, so it made sense to set up camp and settlements nearby. But for thousands of years before Europeans arrived, this river system was the original Highway 400 for the First Nations people. From Lake Ontario, it provided a shortcut to Lake Simcoe and Georgian Bay, which then fed into the upper Great Lakes. It was known as the Carrying Place Trail. Incredibly, this water superhighway didn't end at Lake Superior. From the far western shore of Lake Superior, traders could reach the Mississippi River. And the Mississippi River connects to the Gulf of Mexico. And this massive trade network explains how the First Nations people here in southern Ontario were able to grow corn, which is native to Mexico and not cold climates like Canada. Crazy, right? So long before Europeans arrived, people were traveling and trading with each other across the continent. I've been following the Humber River Recreational Trail, and it leads right to Lambton House. This is the oldest remaining building in the area, dating back to the 1840s. It was originally a stagecoach inn and tavern and operated as such for 140 years until 1989. I almost feel like at that point the city needs to step in and just keep this place running indefinitely. Like, how cool would it be if this was still operating as it did back in the 1800s? Lambton House is located on Old Dundas Street. There used to be a bridge here that would connect Old Dundas Street to the other side of the river, but it no longer exists. Passing under the Dundas Street Bridge, you'll see some cool murals by Anna Camilleri and Tristan R. Whiston. If you keep going just a little further, you'll reach the original railway bridge, which was built in 1874 for the Credit Valley Railway. Today, it's a footbridge, and it offers great views up and down the river and of the new railway bridge operated by Canadian Pacific Railway. We're moving off the trails and onto the side streets. The residential streets are a good mix of townhomes, semis, single-family homes, and larger estates, which we'll see once we arrive at the original Baby Point area. There's schools and parks, and you're actually far enough outside the city center that people actually say hello to one another on the paths and sidewalks. I made my way out of the residential side streets and over to Jane Street. This is the main street that defines the eastern border of the neighborhood. I headed south and stopped in at the Grill on Jane for lunch. This is a great spot in the neighborhood, serving up all-day breakfast and lunch. They've got a great selection here, and I went with the clubhouse sandwich and home fries. It was delicious, and the home fries were so good. I definitely recommend this place if you're in the area. After some good food and coffee, I continued my tour of Baby Point. A little further south, I headed back into the residential side streets to check out the historic Baby Point enclave. The city of Toronto defines the neighborhood as Lambton Baby Point from Jane, Bloor, the Humber River, and then Dundas Street to the north. But the enclave of Baby Point, the original old Baby Point, is like this central area. These gates to the community were built in 1911 by Robert Holmes Smythe, the landowner and man responsible for turning this area into a residential subdivision. If you remember, he was also the guy who built the old mill and imposed architectural restrictions on the area. That's why you find a lot of English Tudor-style homes here. The neighborhood definitely has a strong English vibe to it, and it feels much more established and posh than the other areas. But this wasn't the first time that people put down roots in the area. Like I mentioned earlier, this area is right along the Carrying Place Trail, and this neighborhood was the site of a well-known indigenous settlement. It's said that the settlement was home to about 5,000 people and 50 longhouses. In recent decades, the area has been the site of several major archaeological discoveries, including the burial sites of 2 Seneca women who were buried with carved objects and brass jewelry. The neighborhood here is beautiful, and residents even have a community clubhouse, which is really cool. It'd be nice to see this kind of thing in more neighborhoods. A notable resident of the Baby Point enclave was Conn Smythe, founder of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He lived here from 1927 until 1980. I made my way back out to Jane Street and continued south. Along the way, there are several little reminders of the neighborhood's past. Some are more obvious than others. For instance, this mural depicts the first inhabitants of the area traversing the Humber River by canoe. Others are less obvious, but fascinating. This looks like just a normal streetscape, but there's living reminders of the Carrying Place Trail and its Aboriginal inhabitants. This tree is called the Great White Oak Tree, and it's believed to be over 300 years old. It's a designated member of an ancient grove of oak trees along the Carrying Place Trail. Its importance is lost on us today, but for the First Nations people, it had spiritual significance and was a vital resource for building homes and canoes. This tree would have been here when the Indigenous people and early European settlers were walking and canoeing past it along the Humber River. That's kind of a crazy thought. Those travelers could have never imagined that this area would be like it is today. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this look at Lambton Baby Point. Probably one of the lesser known neighborhoods in the city, but to me, just as fascinating as any of the other ones. If you made it to the end, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. See ya.